Today marks the beginning of the final phase of our course, the point where everything you've learned this semester comes together. Over the next two lectures, we're going to take the concepts, the history, the law, and the technology that we've studied and apply them in a way that mirrors how a professional surveyor or mapping technician approaches a real-world project. In this lecture, Lecture 10, our focus is on locating and assembling the record evidence that defines a parcel of land. We'll start with what we can find in the courthouse and public records. We'll gather parcel data from the Central Appraisal District, and then we'll take that data into ArcGIS Pro. Once it's there, we'll extract the specific area we're interested in and use the COGO tools to begin sketching out a preliminary boundary from a legal description. It's the same way you'd begin a retracement survey. Now, as you've heard me say many times before, surveying is about both evidence and interpretation. This lecture is where you'll start bridging those two. You'll see how courthouse evidence and public data become the foundation for digital reconstruction in GIS. And then next week, we'll take that same evidence into Civil 3D to complete the layout and presentation side of your project. But before we jump in, let's briefly recall how we got here. Back in Lecture 5, we talked about boundary surveys and the hierarchy of evidence, where monuments, written descriptions, and records each carry different weights in defining a line. Then, in Lecture 6, we shifted from the legal to the practical, exploring site surveys and how the same principles of accuracy and documentation carry over to construction and design work. In Lecture 7, we introduced how survey data fits into design systems, like Civil 3D and GIS, expanding our view of what it means to work in a digital space. By the time we reached Lecture 9, we were looking at how central appraisal districts, cadastral systems, and digital land records form part of the modern land information ecosystem, and why they must always be interpreted through the lens of surveying evidence. Today's lecture, then, will be a bridge between those worlds. You'll start with the legal and end with the digital, just as you would in a professional practice. So let's begin with the first part of our workflow, locating workhouse evidence and understanding how that connects to the boundary evidence we've discussed all semester. All right, so this will be the practical exercise 1, locating courthouse evidence for Lab 10. Go ahead and begin by opening the Nueces County Central Appraisal District website that I have linked within the lab exercise itself. You can see here we're at nuecescad.net already. We've got it loaded up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to navigate to the property search page. So we have property search here. Let's go ahead and hit search now. And then under by address, we're going to go ahead and look up 2230 Cardinalis. So pretty quickly we found we've got this property ID, GeoID. We know it's residential. We've got owner information. The address is accurate. Let's go ahead and take note of this legal description right here. We know that this is going to be in the Monteverde at Terramar Unit 1, Block 1, Lot 19. I know when we've talked about legal descriptions in the past, we've explicitly talked about meets and bounds descriptions. However, block and lot is another way of doing so. And this exercise is actually going to go through a little bit of that. So let's go ahead and click on that, open up this property information, and you'll see it's very similar to what we were seeing back in Lab 9 when we were in Wilson County. Similar company. So go ahead and let's scroll down to the bottom. Let's take a copy of this here instrument number. This will be our most recent property deed history, so that's going to be the one that we're going to start with. So let's go ahead and click on that, get that copied, and then once we have that information, we can go ahead and navigate over to the Nueces County property records page. That's also linked within your Lab 10 assignment. And again, please make sure to use those official links that I have posted in your assignment. I don't know if I properly made clear before, especially when we get into public records, a lot of just unsafe and invalid websites are out there. So definitely want to make sure that we're approaching with caution whenever you're going into public records. Always go directly to county sites. Um, look for their county clerk page and then look for official public records that way. It's just an easy way to protect yourself and your equipment from viruses and such. That said, here we are on the Nueces County public records page. We've gone ahead and pasted in that instrument number that we have found from the appraisal district's website. Go ahead and click enter. We quickly see we found our record here. Let's click on that. We see here again, legal description, Monte Verde at Terra Mar, Lot 19, Block 1, Unit 1. And now we have our records here. So we're able to see what happened. We can see grantor, grantee information. We see our property information right here. So we see this description here matches our other legal description. Also with specific calls to the map or plat that this lot and block is pulled from. We know it's recorded volume 65, pages 76 and 77 in the map records of Nueces County. We can go through, review the rest of the information here. There's no other explicitly relevant information for us in this exercise, but it's always good to check just in case. There is no survey attached to this. There is no additional meets and bounds description. All we have is this here reference to the map or plat recorded volume 65, pages 67 to 67, or 76 to 77. Let's go ahead and, leaving this open up a new tab. Hit this plus here. That'll open this up. So now we can go ahead and put in 65 paste 76. We see immediately there is a plat recorded back in 2006. Let's click that. First thing we see looks like the second page, maybe even a cover page. Definitely second page, sheet 202, dedicated right there. With all of the different certifications, is it designations? We've got our surveyor certificate located here. Few other notes that we can check in on, see if there's anything relevant. So this is going to give us, estimated areas, number of lots that we should be expecting to see, residential lots, non-buildable lots. Then also we have what kind of monumentation should we be expecting to found in the field. So we know there's going to be found and set 5/8 diameter steel rods. All of the set rods are going to include that yellow cap marked urban surveying. So that's going to be really important once we're done with our drafting and when we head out in the field. You can see here we've just got a few other specific dedications. We know that where they're receiving water from for this subdivision. We're identifying the coordinate system that's utilized for this data collection for this survey. So it's Texas State Plane Coordinate System South. We know that there are private drives. Pardon me, we do see here specifically that driveways are not allowed to actually go directly onto Holly Road. And other than that, there's not anything else too specific here that we need to know. But it's good information to review. We see here it's page 1 of 1. So since this was filed as 6576, let's go ahead and look for 6577. Since our deed said that it was these 2 pages. Here we go. There's another plat. We can confirm on this legal description, it is still the Monte Verde at Terra Mar, Unit 1. So this is the map we're looking for. We can zoom in a little bit and quickly see, we have Cardinalis Lane here. We're looking for 2213. What'd we say over here? We were lot 19 and block 1. So, right here, this circle with the 1 in it, that's going to identify the block number. You see this is block 1. This is block 2. Block 5. There's a lot of stuff on this, so it gets a little difficult to see. But anyways, we know we're looking for block 1, lot 19. So that's right here. So we can see we have our distance and bearings, but that's going to be for the entire unit. So what we're going to be ended up having to do when we're trying to look at potentially reconstructing some of this is we're going to have to actually map out this entire block here, or this whole area, and then we're going to have to use our dimensions, and we're going to have to be able to work ourselves over to then start our retracement. There's a lot of different information in here. We have all the distances and bearings and stuff for our streets. We have different offsets that we're going to be able to utilize. And even though this might start to feel like it's a little bit more work than what we did before, this is actually kind of nice because we're going to have a lot of different information to reference in the field. What we did in Lab 9, we had a good legal description, a solid legal description. However, if we didn't find, some of that narrow bit of information, of monumentation that was called for, there wasn't a whole lot more for us to work on. The potential for reconstruction was very, very high. As to where with this one, every single one of these is a potential for a set pin. The number of surveys that could have been done between each of these land transactions is going to be pretty high. We have major roads that we're able to pull off of. We have easements that we're able to reference to. There's a lot of really, really strong evidence here that if we're going to just be trying to recover this one lot, we're going to be able to do so with pretty high confidence. But with that, let's go ahead and add all 3 of these records to our cart. You'll see this time your total price should be free. We don't need certified copies. Another thing too, you'll see that I am logged in here. I made an account. It's going to be required for you to make an account as well. You're able to just use your Islander email. It's very simple. It's really quick. Give it your name, give it your email, verify it, and then you're going to be able to place your orders for free. So go ahead, do that, take care of that. Place those orders. This is what it's going to look like. Download all documents. And then let's go ahead and rename that zip file. Do that. Go ahead and just open up where it's downloaded to. Feel free to extract it first. You'll see we've got all of the information, all the documents we were looking for. And their full resolution. And I'm going to save mine as Gillis Part 1. I'm going to go ahead and rezip it, and I want you to do the exact same thing because this is going to be the delivery for practical exercise Part 1. All right. On to the next one. In Lecture 5, we explored the hierarchy of boundary evidence, and I told you that the surveyor's work begins long before stepping into the field. It begins here in the courthouse, whether that's online or in person. and the deed and plat are your first pieces of record evidence, and they form the foundation of everything that follows. Back in Lecture 9, when we discussed central appraisal districts, we learned that CAD maps and parcel data are derived from, but not equal to, these legal records. CAD maps are administrative approximations. Deeds and plats are legal authorities. By locating and downloading the deed and plat first, you are grounding your digital workflow in legally defensible evidence. The same principles that professional surveyors follow before retracing or subdividing any parcel. Next, we'll move to practical exercise 2, where we connect these courthouse findings with CAD parcel data and extract the relevant portion of our project. All right, this is the start of practical exercise number 2, accessing and downloading CAD/GIS parcel data. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our Nueces Central Appraisal District's website. We're going to go ahead and open up our parcel map viewer. So come up here to the top, click on Interactive Map. Go ahead and click I agree. And then we don't need to specifically find where we're looking for here, but if you want, you can go ahead and type in 2230 Cardinalis. You'll see that it does confirm that the parcel we are searching for does exist. It is here. So under parcels over here on the layer list, let's go ahead and hit our 3 ellipses. We're going to hit show item details. And that's going to take us to the ArcGIS data page, the item page. And we'll see here, every single one of those layers is included in this item. We are only interested in parcels. So let's go ahead and click this arrow to the side to go into parcels specifically. And then down here, there's a URL. Go ahead and copy that. Once you have that done, let's get ArcGIS open. Once you have that open, make sure you're signed in. If you're not, we'll run through that real fast. You can see here now it says not signed in. Go ahead and click sign in. You'll want to make sure you're picking your ArcGIS organization's URL. If you don't have TAMUCC in here, go ahead and click enter another organization. Type in TAMUCC. Click the checkbox for remember this URL. Then click continue. Click the blue TAMUCC. And then either it will authenticate you automatically if you've logged in previously, or it'll just take you and ask you to use your Islander login to sign in. Under that process, you will probably get your Duo request to get signed in as well. So once you're there, once you're signed in, go ahead and click Start Without a Template. We won't need to be saving this project, so there's no reason to try to open it based on a template. Once you've got that open, go ahead and click New Map. And then up here, underneath the map ribbon, we're going to hit the drop down button for add data. And we're going to do from path because we already have the URL that we want to access. Let that load. Go ahead and click add. Give that just a moment to load in. All right. So now we are directly accessing the appraisal district service link. And if a whole lot of people try to hit that at the same time, it's going to run the risk of causing issues for the appraisal districts, cause risk of it slowing down. So common courtesy at this point is we're going to go ahead and export a copy of this data set. Go ahead and right-click Parcels right away. Come down here to Data, and then hit Export Features. You'll get this pop-up, and you'll see that our input feature is Parcels. That's the Nueces County appraisal parcels we're pulling. Let's give that a different name. I'm just going to call it NCAD for Nueces CAD, and I'm going to give it a date of today. So for me, it's 2025, October 15th. Go ahead and click OK. Then give that a moment to run. This is really just a common courtesy to make sure that we're not trying to do queries or live work on their parcel layer. Pulling it, making a copy of it for yourself is going to allow you to essentially continue to work with their data, but not without accessing their servers. It's also going to bring it all in locally. So maybe if you have not as great internet in your area, this is going to also help ensure that your project can run smoothly, the data loads faster, things of that nature. We're getting there, y'all. All right. So now you'll see here under the contents that that's done. That original service layer, go ahead and right click on that and hit remove. That way we're no longer tacking onto their servers. Another thing to do right away under this layer, click on that feature layer or come over to labeling. Let's turn off labels right away. We're not going to need any of that. And then we need to right click on the layer again under the contents, jump into attribute table. And then we're going to be able to where is it? Identify the neighborhood. Here we go. There'll be a subdivision code. We'll see it's a code, so we're not sure exactly which one it is. So let's scroll into our layer. We know we're off Ennis, Jocelyn, and Holly. Here we go. Here's Cardinalis. We know we're the third house. We come down to this one. We'll see its subdivision code is subdivision 5304. Let's go ahead and copy that. Then we're going to hit select by attributes. We're going to say where subdivision code is equal to S5304. Hit apply, and look at that. We've now captured everything from that original track we were looking at. This is going to be important because when we're trying to do our retracement, this is the information that's going to be called. So at this point, we also know we can come in, we can either export this as its own little feature, or we can apply a data filter. So let's go ahead and do the data filter. If you don't already, right click on your layer, come to symbology, that'll open up your symbology tab. Click the little filter icon, the funnel, enable display filters. add all features, new expression, where our subdivision code is equal to 5304, and hit apply. We clear our selection now, and then maybe change our symbology to something a little more visible. We're going to see we only have stuff, only the parcels from our original field notes. So I know most of you are probably going to be unfamiliar with ArcGIS Pro right now. So even though I do highly encourage each of you try to walk through this exercise on your own, you're going to notice on your in your data set for this lab that I've provided, I have provided a copy of this. I've gone ahead and already downloaded it for you, but let's go ahead and walk through what that looks like one more time as well. So under our geoprocessing pane, if you don't have it open, come click analysis up here, and then go ahead and click tools. That's going to open up the geoprocessing pane. Go ahead and type in shapefile. And then you're going to see we have a tool in here called feature class to shapefile. That's the one you're looking for. Go ahead and click that. Go ahead and select in CAD. And then for an output folder, go ahead and just click that folder icon. And then wherever you think is great for you to put it, you can create a folder, new item, folder. I'll call mine GIS Part 2, assuming this is part of the deliverables for this. And then I'm going to put CAD files. Just as the name for this shapefile. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Oh, my apologies. Click on the folder that you want to put it to. Leave it as that. And click OK. We don't have to change anything else. Go ahead and click Run. And what that's going to do is going to go ahead and put a copy of that shapefile for you in that folder, and that's what we're going to be using for part 3. So for part 3, you don't need to use the data that you've downloaded. You're free and more than welcome to go ahead and use the shapefile that I have provided for you of the same area. All right, that is it for part 2. That was accessing and downloading CAD GIS parcel data. What we did is we went into the Noesis CAD, we went into their interactive map, we identified a parcel that we were interested in. From there, we were able to go and access that geospatial data via its item details, identify the specific layer of interest that we had, get access to its service link. We brought that into ArcGIS Pro. We again confirmed the specific parcel that we're interested in. Because of the deed research we've already done, we know we need more than just the individual parcel. We need this whole subdivision section, the Monte Verde at Terramar Unit 1. We captured that. We exported it to a shapefile. And in our next exercise, we're going to be looking at doing a little bit of COGO work inside of ArcGIS Pro. All right. Talk to y'all soon. Now is a good time to pause and connect what you've just done and what we discussed in Lecture 9. When you downloaded the parcel data from the CAD, you were accessing part of what's known as an administrative cadastre, a data set used to manage taxation, not define ownership. The boundaries shown in those digital files are approximations, not legal boundaries. Remember our example in Lecture 9, where we discussed how digital lines can misrepresent the true boundary if they're not based on field evidence? Well, this is where your courthouse records come in. By cross-referencing the digital parcels with the deed and plat, you're validating what the CAD shows against the legal record, a process we might call digital ground truthing. You may also recall from Lecture 7 that GIS and Civil 3D operate within coordinate-based systems. That means that the coordinate system or datum differs from the surveys. You could see small positional shifts. This isn't an error. It's just a reminder that legal property boundaries are not defined in projection space, but instead the language of evidence. Next, we'll move into practical exercise 3, where we'll extract our area of interest in ArcGIS Pro, prepare it for analysis, and begin using COGO tools to reconstruct the legal description from our deed. Okay, so this is section 4, our practical exercise, building a COGO sketch from a legal description. Or in this case, we're going to use our plat from part 3. So we see here, we are going to bring in our plat. We're going to be going from this southwest corner, following along this line on the back end of the development, all the way over to lot 19. From there, we're going to be working our way up, trying to identify each of our easements as we go along. So there are a few that we're going to be taking into consideration. And then we're going to be using ArcGIS Pro to COGO out essentially our traverse. So pretty straightforward. Again, we're going to make sure that we adhere to the easements that are identified here because we're going to look for that evidence. So you can see here we have a 15-foot utility easement. There's that 20-foot yard restriction on the top end. There's also a vacated 20-foot roadway easement. If we needed, that's something that we could try to pull up more historical records for. Again, all of this is potential information to help us if we run into issues during this survey. Let's go ahead and get open ArcGIS Pro. Again, you can load without a template. Let's insert a new map. All right, great. So once we've got that loaded, we're going to need to go ahead and start collecting our data from previous sections. So this here is our shapefile that we got from the Nueces County Appraisal District. I've loaded it for y'all as well so that you can make sure you get the right data set. So once we bring that shapefile into ArcGIS Pro, it brings us straight to it. You can see this is where we're going to be, to make it a little easier to find out our lot, we're going to turn on our labels. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to use legal description as the field for our labels. We're going to turn the font size down so it's a little bit more manageable to work around. You see here, we got lot 19. That's the one we're looking for. And again, our labels will dynamically adjust for us. But we're going to start in this southwest corner down here. But we're going to need a data set to put this into. So go ahead, go to your catalog, open database, right click the geodatabase, create a new feature class. We're just going to call it COGO_lines. Make sure we set that line type or that feature type to line. You can go ahead and click next just to follow through, just to see what some of this looks like. We're going to leave our local state plane coordinate system in place. We don't need to make any other adjustments. Go ahead and click finish. Then it automatically gets added to our map. So we see that's there. Let's right click it and open up that attribute table. See right now there's nothing in it. There are no COGO fields either. So let's go into our geoprocessing pane. Let's type in enable COGO. And then there we go. It's that data management tool, enable COGO. Let's turn that on. Let's select our line feature, COGO lines. Click that, go ahead and run it. And you can see right there in our open attribute table, we now have our COGO features. You can still run a traverse without that, but if you do, it won't save any of the information and you won't be able to adjust your traverse in the future if necessary. So let's go ahead and start working on our COGO. It's pretty straightforward. Click over to analysis. or excuse me, not analysis, go to edit. We're going to be doing edit. Then we're going to go over to tools, hit that drop down arrow. Under the COGO section, go ahead and pick traverse. So first thing, we're going to go ahead and set our starting point. We're going to use, again, that southwest corner from Unit 1, Lot 1, Block 4. And then just referencing our plat, we're going to start putting in all of our calls. And again, we're not just going to make a straight single call on the way to our destination. We're going to try to hit all of those sections in between. So we're going to hit both of these westerly corners on this lot. We're going to hit both parts of the street. So we're going to, including that center point, and then follow the back end of the next two till we get to our lot. So again, go ahead and just put that information in, just like in Civil 3D. When you're typing in your minutes and seconds, just type in the degrees and then decimal point, and then enter the next two. So you can see our line is starting to fill out here. But it's a bit hard to see as it is. So let's go ahead and change the symbology. So over here, go ahead and click on that point, go under properties. We're going to up the line width, and then we're going to set it to black. Then click apply. Now, very clear to see where our COGO line currently is as we're progressing through. So let's go ahead and continue. This is our first turn, as we're going to move in a northwest fashion. Referencing the plat real quick to get the proper call. And you'll notice whenever you're not changing your bearing, every time you just hit enter, go to that next line, it automatically is going to fill it in for you. And again, you see I'm not clicking in between each of these. You just hit enter once you're done filling in a field, that automatically will take you to the next field. Sorry, I started typing in the distance in the direction section. That is not correct. So that 74.37 is subtracting the 40 feet for our easements and yard restriction from our total of 114.37. Again, now we make our turn southwest across that 55-foot frontage. Then we make our turn back for the final side. It's going to be our south 61, 21, 13 east. There we go. And again, we're going to respect all of our frontages here, or all of our potential easements and yard restrictions on the way back down. Oh, did it again. All right, so now that we've come back, we're going to go ahead and readjust. And this time, instead of hitting each point on the way back, we are able to make that straight shot all the way back to our starting point to close out our traverse. So in order to get that total number, let's go ahead and open up calculator. Again, we'll just add those together because I don't feel like doing quick brain math. Nothing wrong with checking yourself. There we go. 284.99 feet is the number we're looking for. And look, now you can see we have made it all the way back. Let's go ahead and set our closing. And that's it. So you see here, we have our misclosure information. We have 0 feet of misclosure. Now it does say that we have a 90-degree misclosure, but that's just because we're coming in opposite directions. So that is a lapse in the accuracy of or the survey intent of ArcGIS Pro. But you can see here, there are no actual residual values using our compass closure method. You can see the same thing if we adjust it to any other different type of closure method. And again, this is pulling the data off of Plat. So what this is really telling us is that these office numbers weren't totally fudged. But that's it for section 4. Again, short and sweet. That was just building a COGO sketch from a legal description or Plat inside of ArcGIS Pro. So nothing to submit this time, but don't close it yet. Go ahead and just either save your project or minimize it. When we go into the next section, we're going to be doing a little bit more work with that same data set. All right, that's all. This is the heart of the capstone process, where we move from text to shape. Back in lecture 3, when we discussed surfaces and grading, I mentioned that every digital model begins with geometry grounded in evidence. That concept applies here too. You are taking the written, legal narrative of a parcel, a meets and bounds description, and transforming it into a digital form that can be analyzed, measured, and compared. From a surveying standpoint, this exercise reflects the interpretive role of the surveyor. The COGO sketch isn't just about replicating text, it's about understanding intent. Each bearing and distance tells part of a story: how a surveyor moved through the land, what features they followed, and where they choose to close the loop. We also see here how GIS and surveying overlap, a theme we developed in Lecture 7. See, GIS gives us context, but surveying gives us authority. The COGO sketch brings both worlds, producing a geometric representation that's informed by the precision of the surveyor and the visualization power of the GIS analyst. Finally, recall Lecture 9, when we talked about cadastral systems. The process you're performing here, digitizing legal boundaries from record evidence, it's exactly what cadastral agencies do worldwide, whether it's the Texas General Land Office or the Cadastral Map of Scotland. The difference is that your version is interpretive and educational. Theirs is an administrative and authoritative. Next, we'll move into practical exercise 4, where you'll be validating your sketch against the existing CAD parcel layer and prepare your data for export, setting the stage for our next lecture, where we take it all into Civil 3D. Okay, so we've already looked a little bit at validating our information when we compare the different features. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to get a little bit more into exporting our data. So just as a quick verification, we're able to click here and see we have all of our individual lines. These aren't a giant polyline or anything like that. And having those vertices within this line is going to be vital whenever we go to try to create our points so that we're able to stake out this information um, post Civil 3D processing. Another benefit that we have here is we have actual coordinates for these points. These aren't just set from a 10,000, 10,500. So we're going to actually have legitimate coordinates that we're going to be able to load into our controllers. So before we export our features, let's go ahead and hit save. And then, well, actually, go ahead and close this because we're not exporting it as a feature. We're going to export it as a shapefile so that we're able to bring that specifically in to Civil 3D. So go back to the geoprocessing pane, start typing in shapefile, and then look for feature class to shapefile. Go ahead and click on that. And then as soon as it loads, we will pick the feature that we want to export. Now we have to set an output folder. So go ahead and find a location on your computer that is going to be ideal for you. I'm going to go ahead and just put mine onto my desktop. And then here I'm going to use the new item tab to create a new folder. I'm just going to call that GIS underscore part 3 or part 4, I guess technically at this point. That's fine, whichever. Go ahead and put that in there. Export your COGO lines. And then let's go ahead and once that's done, minimize that. And I'm going to bring the folder over here so we can open it. Take a look at this real quick. And here you go. You see that shapefile. And these are all the additional information that are required for that shapefile. So we have all of that in there. And go ahead and zip that. And you're going to include that in your deliverables. I'll outline those in a moment. And that's it. That's it for this section. So that is exporting your data from ArcGIS Pro. This is the validation process. It represents the critical quality control step of any professional mapping or surveying workflow. Back in Lecture 5, when we discussed boundary conflicts in case law, we learned that discrepancies between record evidence and field conditions often lead to disputes. In a digital context, discrepancies between CAD parcels and COGO reconstructions can lead to similar confusion, especially if a client or engineer assumes that digital equals precise. By measuring, comparing, and documenting these differences, you're ensuring transparency and defensibility. That's what distinguishes a CAD tech who merely traces lines from a survey drafter who understands the meaning and context of boundaries. In Lecture 7, we discussed how engineering design and surveying workflows overlap, how surveyors must sometimes enter the design space to understand the broader context of their work. This export step does exactly that. You're packaging evidence into a design-ready format so that in the next lecture, we can integrate it into Civil 3D. We'll label it with real-world stationing and how survey data supports the foundation of every engineered project. Now, what you've accomplished today is more than just a digital exercise. It's a demonstration of how professional surveyors integrate recorded evidence, digital data, and geometric analysis into a single coherent workflow. You began at the courthouse, where you located and reviewed the legal instruments that establish ownership and boundary. You then connected that evidence to administrative parcel data from the Central Appraisal District, and then transitioning from the legal record to the digital representation. From there, you used ArcGIS Pro to extract and refine your area of interest, transforming textual calls into a precise COGO-based sketch, a geometric form that represents legal intent in measurable terms. And finally, you validated that sketch against the CAD parcel data, identifying how small discrepancies emerge and learning how to document them responsibly. When we started this course back in Lecture 1, we talked about surveying as a discipline that balances history, law, and technology. Well, today you've seen all three in motion. The courthouse represents our legal foundation. The CAD parcel data represents our administrative layer, the living cadastra we examined in Lecture 9. And ArcGIS Pro represents our technological bridge, where traditional surveying methods meet modern geospatial systems. In Lecture 11, we'll take this one step further. You'll bring your validated evidence into Civil 3D, integrating it with the same design environment that engineers use. There, we'll focus on annotation, presentation, and professional communication. How survey data becomes the framework for engineering design and subdivision planning or plat development. As we do that, I want you to keep one guiding principle in mind. Surveying is the practice of giving evidence form. Whether it's a bearing and distance in a deed, a polygon in a GIS, or a line in Civil 3D. Your task as future surveyors is to ensure that every representation of land, written, drawn, or digital, traces faithfully back to the real physical world. So as you complete this week's lab, think about how each step you took today contributes to that purpose. Just not tracing parcels, you're constructing the digital reflection of legal reality. Next time, we'll finish the journey, bringing that reality to life inside a Civil 3D, the environment where surveying and design finally converge. And to wrap this up, let's go ahead and cover the deliverables you're going to be expected to submit for this week's lab. And that's correct if you're thinking that this was your lecture. Yes, it was, and it was also your lab combined. Um, so in section 2, during that exercise, you should have downloaded a warranty deed, a plat page, and page 1, and a plat page 2, all from the Nuesis public records. So in one folder, please zip all of that information and include that in your deliverable. The next item is going to be from section 3. Those exercise items included simply the Monteverde shapefile. There should be 8 total files included in there. Do not resubmit the sample data set that I provided you to use for sections 4 and 5. Please submit your own data. And then lastly, a third folder, again, that will be zipped using your COGO lines that we exported in section 5. Those COGO lines were created in section 4, and then we went over exporting them in section 5. Those kind of went together. So that is it for this lab. Submit those 3 zipped folders, and you're going to be good to go. All right, see you next week.